Okay, Sarah, so let's start. Uh, Let me share my screen. So this is the basic structure, the double helical, double-stranded structure of the DNA, right?
Mhm,
And RNA is ribonucleic acid,
mhm,
okay? And you see we have bases. Uracil is in the RNA, while thymidine is in the DNA, right? Thymine is in the DNA.
mhm,
And then we have cytosine, adenine, and guanine, right? So similarly, we have guanine, adenine, and cytosine.
mhm,
What I wanted to show you here is that a nucleotide, just a nucleotide. This is not a nucleotide. Thymine is not a nucleotide. Okay, thymine is a nitrogenous base. Similarly, cytosine, adenine, guanine, uracil, they are all what? Nitrogenous bases. Okay, and to this nitrogenous base, we attach ribose sugar. Okay, we attach a ribose sugar, and then we attach phosphate group. That actually I wanted to show you. This is clear diagram, but I don't know why it is not opening this way. But maybe I can do the same thing, but I did that already. Okay, maybe I can find this one. Yes. Okay. So we have everything on Google, but yeah, this is what I want to say. You have this nitrogenous base here. Okay. And this nitrogenous base is attached with ribose sugar, deoxyribose sugar. Okay. In case of DNA, and ribose sugar in case of RNA. Okay. And then we have, okay, structure is called nucleotide. This base and nucleotide. The nitrogenous base is just a bit of sugar as well as phosphate group with it. It becomes nucleotide. So, for example, in case of adenine, we call it adenosine monophosphate or adenosine diphosphate or adenosine triphosphate, right? So, adenosine monophosphate, adenosine diphosphate, and adenosine triphosphate, they are the nucleotides, right? AMP, ADP, ATP, they are nucleotides. Similarly, guanosine monophosphate, guanosine diphosphate, and guanosine triphosphate, they are the nucleotides. While guanine is nitrogenous base, right? Similarly, cytosine. So cytosine becomes cytidine, right? Cytosine becomes cytidine. So cytidine monophosphate, cytidine diphosphate, and cytidine triphosphate, they are the nucleotides. But cytosine is the nitrogenous base. Another thing I just want to show you, you see this 2' end,
yes.
right? And you see H here. If you just put OH here, it will become ribose sugar. Okay? So this is the difference between ribose and deoxyribose sugar. That if you have hydroxyl group on 2', then this is called ribose. But if you have hydrogen at 2', this is called deoxyribose. So because oxygen is removed from that is why it is called deoxyribose.
Mhm,
Got it?
yeah.
So yeah. And then the two nucleotides are linked to each other via a phosphodiester bond because this is an ester bond, this is an ester bond, so it becomes phosphodiester bond, right?
Mhm,
But the point I wanted to emphasize here is that we have these negative charges, right? And these negative charges make nucleic acid negative, got it?
mhm,
Yeah. So these make the nucleic acid negative. So if you see this here, so these are the phosphates. You see phosphates here,
mhm,
and you see phosphates here.
uh-huh,
Overall, this is what negative structure,
uh-huh,
right? A negatively charged structure. And another thing you have to understand is that what is this 5', right?
mhm.
This is 5' phosphate, okay? And what is this
3'
3'?
hydroxyl.
So I will say that this nucleotide, this change is running from 5' to 3', right? But
Mhm,
if it is opposite direction, when you see here, so it is opposite direction here. So
mhm,
you can see there, what is here? 5'.
mhm,
And what is here? 3'. So that is why it is called 5 prime to 3 prime, and here it is called 5 prime to 3 prime, right? So they are anti-parallel. They are anti-parallel to each other. Okay.
Mhm.
So, but you should be very much clear what is the meaning of 5 prime and what is the meaning of 3 prime, right? So it is the basically the 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 orientation of the ribose sugar. If it is this way, it is 5 to 3 prime, but if it is inverted, like I just invert this structure, then 3 prime will become up and 5 prime will become down, right? So if you visualize this, note that O is up,
Mhm.
here O is down.
Yeah.
Got it? So that is why 3 prime is up and 5 prime is down.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
So that is the basic thing you need to understand. And I told you that you have to understand that the difference between nitrogenous base and nucleotide.
Mhm.
Nitrogenous base is simple. It's adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and uracil, right?
Mhm.
But then it becomes when we attach the sugar, which can be ribose sugar or a deoxyribose sugar,
Mhm.
and a phosphate group. That can be three phosphate group, that can be two phosphate group, and that can be one phosphate group. Then that structure is called nucleotide.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. It has great implications. Okay, now I move towards this thing. So let me move it. So basically, uh, in 1998, right, there were two scientists who were one was Craig Mallow and other was Andrew Fire. They were worried, like last time we discussed, that how genes are silenced. They were worried that how genes are silenced, right? And they discovered this phenomenon, which actually is present in every cell, as I just discussed last time, that every cell has the same genetic material, right? But in some cells, certain genes are expressed while certain genes are turned off. So now we are studying which how the genes are turned off inside the cell where they are not required, right?
Mhm.
So what happens is that that cell which actually wants to destroy uh, some of the genes, it makes the primary microRNAs
Mhm.
inside the nucleus. And you will see if it is inside the nucleus, so these primary microRNAs will be formed from the non-coding regions of the gene, right?
It's formed from the non-coding regions
Regions of the
of the
non-coding
gene.
regions of the DNA, not gene,
Of
sorry,
the gene. Okay.
DNA, right? So I discussed coding regions and non-coding regions last time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So primary microRNAs, they are taken up by two proteins. They are taken up by two proteins. One is called the ROSA, another is called DGCR8. Okay, and if you observe this diagram, so this tail, and this tail, this is removed, right? And if it is removed, it becomes this structure, which is called pre-microRNA.
D microRNA?
Pre-microRNA.
Pre-microRNA.
Pre-microRNA, right?
Mhm.
And now this pre-microRNA, again, that is important thing. So this is RNA. What should be its charge?
Can you repeat that question?
This is RNA. I told you this is primary microRNA, and then this primary microRNA is taken up by the two proteins, right? I am just asking you the question: what is this? What will be the charge on this RNA?
Would it still be negative?
Obviously, it will be negative because nucleic acid is always
Negative.
negative, right?
Mhm.
And now we have this nuclear membrane. Yeah. What is this? Nuclear membrane. And membrane is always also negatively charged. Okay. So
Mhm.
can it can it diffuse out of the nucleus into the cytoplasm?
No, it would need a positive
It
charge.
will need a transporter.
Mhm.
It will need a
Transport.
transporter. And then we have a transporter which is called exportin 5. Okay, which transports the pre-microRNA you focus more on diagram. Stop. I mean, there's no need for making notes first. You
Okay.
first understand this mechanism, right?
Mhm.
So I told you that non-coding regions of the DNA in this cell started making primary microRNA,
Mhm.
right? And those primary microRNAs were taken up by two proteins,
Mhm.
and then these two proteins chopped off this tail, okay? And we got this pre-microRNA. And now pre-microRNA is negatively charged. It cannot get out of the nucleus, so it needs a transporter to get it out of the nucleus. And that transporter is called exportin 5. Okay, now it is inside the cytoplasm. So
Mhm.
the exportin is removed, and we have this pre-microRNA. Okay,
Yeah.
and then this pre-microRNA is taken up by another two proteins. Okay, which is called TRPB and dicer. Okay, tar binding protein and dicer, right? So we are not concerned about the names at this point. We are concerned about the concept, right?
Yeah.
So then these two proteins chops off the head.
Okay.
Okay, so you see the head is chopped off. So once head is chopped off, we have just double-stranded structure, right? So we just have double-stranded structure, this double-stranded structure. Okay, now this double-stranded structure is taken up by risk loading complex. And this ago, I mean, what is the difference between this and this? That's the only another protein which is called ago.
Mhm.
So once ago comes, it does what? It separates the double-stranded structure into single-stranded structure.
Mhm.
And now this single-stranded structure is taken up by a complex which is called RI-induced silencing complex or RISC, right? And if you see, then there is another protein that comes up. So you see, this is the protein, this is the protein, this is the protein, and now these two proteins are more two proteins come. And what happens? This structure, this structure complementarily recognizes the structure of the messenger RNA, right? Messenger RNA that is going to make that particular protein which we want to silence, right? So this will bind with the messenger RNA, and what happens once it binds with the messenger RNA? It destroys the messenger RNA, and messenger RNA is degraded like this.
Okay.
Got it?
Mhm.
So what happened overall? Overall, if I see overall, what happened is that cells cells produces specific primary microRNAs, right,
Mhm.
from the non-coding regions. Okay, those messenger RNAs, after a series of process, make a single-stranded structure. That single-stranded structure complementarily binds with the target messenger RNA and destroys that messenger RNA. And once the messenger RNA is destroyed, that gene will be silenced. Got it?
Mhm.
So this is natural process that is occurring in almost every cell. Got it?
Mhm.
And it was discovered in 1998. And then because of this discovery, they were awarded Nobel Prize in 2006, right?
Mhm.
So Craig Mello identified. And this all process is called RNA interference. This all process is called RNA
Interference.
interference. Got it?
Mhm.
So now what is the key point in it? If Yes, now I want to tell you one thing. So this double stranded structure, which was here, I mean, if I chop off the head, so we have double stranded structure, right?
Mhm.
One of this is called sense strand, and another one is called anti-sense strand. Okay, and anti-sense strand is complementary to the messenger RNA. Anti-sense strand is complementary to
My uh
messenger RNA.
messenger RNA. Okay.
Got it?
Mhm.
So, and that antisense strand will is complementary to messenger RNA. It will recognize the messenger RNA, it will bind with messenger RNA, and it will destroy the messenger RNA.
Okay.
Got it?
Mhm.
So this is how the genes are silenced. For example, I told you that my cells of my eye has insulin gene, but that gene is not expressing in the eye because of this phenomenon, right?
Mhm.
Because the eye cells will produce the primary microRNAs that will destroy the gene of the messenger RNA, that will destroy the messenger RNA of insulin gene. Got it?
Mhm.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this was very powerful discovery.
Mhm.
If I know the gene, if I know any gene, for example, I know the gene of insulin, right? I can easily decode the messenger RNA of that insulin because we have DNA. Gene is DNA, right? It is transcribed, it makes the opposite structure to that of the DNA, right? And then DNA, I mean, that messenger RNA is formed whose sequence is opposite to that of the DNA, right? And then I will in my lab will design that sequence which is complementary to the messenger RNA, all right, and I can design it. So what will happen then, I will have to just put that sequence inside the cell, and that sequence, this is called siRNA. That is called siRNA, right? So these are the synthetically made nucleotide. These are the synthetically made uh, double stranded RNAs. These are synthetically made double stranded
RNA.
RNAs, right?
Mhm.
But the problem is that, as I told you, these are negatively charged, right?
Mhm.
And the cytoplasmic membrane is also what?
Negatively charged.
Negatively charged. So it cannot enter into the cytoplasm,
Mhm.
right? But if it enters into the, by any way, we find a way by which we can deliver this siRNA inside the cell, it will use the existing machinery. It is like this, right? It will bind to TRPB and dicer. It will bind to TRPB and dicer,
Mhm.
and then it will bind to risk loading complex, and then it will separate that structure, double stranded to single stranded, and this becomes antisense strand. Sorry, this becomes the antisense strand, and then this antisense strand will bind with the complementary messenger RNA, and then it will chop off that messenger RNA.
Okay.
And once it is chopped off, once it is destroyed, that protein will not be expressed. That makes sense?
Yes.
Or no?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So what is the challenge here? The challenge here is now delivery of the siRNA into the
Cytoplasm.
cytoplasm.
Mhm.
All right. So this is what we are now thinking. So we design the siRNA. Once we design the siRNA, this is siRNA inside the blood. Okay, and it is negatively charged. Okay, so there are certain things that can happen with it. First, this nucleic acid can be eliminated by the kidney. This nucleic acid can be trapped by reticuloendothelial system. Okay, I will explain you what is reticuloendothelial system. This nucleic acid can be destroyed by endonucleases, and this double-stranded structure, which is siRNA, it can be taken up by the proteins, plasma proteins that are present in the blood, and then it once it reaches the target cell, it is negatively charged, membrane is negatively charged, it cannot enter into the cytoplasm, right? So these are the challenges. But if we could find a siRNA with a specific carrier, right, which can help siRNA to get inside the cell and escape all these challenges and reach to the cytoplasm. If we could do that, if we could deliver this siRNA with the carrier in its intact form to the target action,
Mhm.
right, like target cell, it will silence the gene.
Got it.
Got it? So this is our so and then and once, for example, by any way with carriers we transfer this to the cytoplasm, then there are two other problems. That this siRNA is taken up by the endosomes and it is destroyed in the endosomes, or this siRNA is not specific to the messenger RNA, so it can also silence some other genes whose sequence can other messenger RNAs whose sequence is similar to the target messenger RNA that we are looking for, right?
Mhm.
So I mean these are the extracellular barriers, means in the blood, and these are the intracellular barriers. Got it?
Mhm.
And we want, ideally, I mean, we are at this place in time where if we could find any way by which we could deliver the siRNA in its intact form, in its intact form to the cytoplasm, we can silence any gene,
Mhm.
right? And if it could happen, with traditional drugs will all be gone. Got it? So this is called gene therapy. You got it?
Yes.
Okay. So I will send you the recording, obviously, after this lecture. So that is the whole story of the gene therapy. So now you understand how this messenger RNA is destroyed.
Yeah.
Got it?
Mhm.
So this is a complete process, and in that process, what you have to know is this: this diagram. You should be able to understand this diagram,
Mhm.
right? So, what can be the things that can hinder your concept? First, you have to understand what are the non-coding regions in the DNA. They do not code for any protein. They do not code for any protein. Rather, they make some primary microRNAs. They make some primary microRNAs. And those primary microRNAs are complementary. The sequence of those primary microRNAs is complementary to the messenger RNAs which the cell wants to silence,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Does it make sense or no?
Yes.
So here, initially when I discussed the structure of the DNA or RNA, so this is not DNA. This is also double-stranded structure, but this is double-stranded RNA.
Okay.
Okay, so it will have uracil in it rather than thymine. Got it?
Mhm.
So this siRNA, if we could deliver this siRNA inside the cytoplasm in its intact form, that it is not destroyed by in the blood or it is not taken up by the endosomes, and it actually goes to the cell, then the rest process is smooth. It is going to happen automatically. The only challenge, the only challenge we have is that this siRNA is negatively charged. Membrane is also negatively charged. It cannot enter into the cytoplasm. So we are, in our lab, we are trying to deliver this siRNA into the cytoplasm using cell penetrating peptides. Okay.
Mhm.
So now you see, so we have, I mean, so if we see, we have developed several delivery systems and transfection agents that have been investigated to address these challenges that I discussed. That they are mostly lipofectamine, polyethylamine, a dynamic polyconjugate system, magnetic nanoparticles, metallic nanoparticles, viral carriers, dendrimers, liposomes-based approaches. But all these systems still suffer from toxicity, like they are toxic to the cells, and they have low efficiency. When I mean low efficiency, it means they cannot deliver the siRNA in appropriate concentrations to the cells where it can affect the gene silencing, right? So then we developed a cell penetrating based delivery system, right? And cell penetrating peptide based delivery system. This is our, I mean, this is my work that I do. Got it? So I am trying to deliver this cell penetrating based delivery system. Now my question is, this is all in air, right? So this is all in air. I will in my next session, I will explain you how do we do that in laboratory. How do we check whether this siRNA can go into the cytoplasm or whether this siRNA that I have made can go and cause the silencing. How can I check the silencing? How can I check the siRNA? So basically what is happening, there is a baby who cannot open the door. Baby cannot open the door, right? But he wants to enter into the room, right? Now mama comes, mama holds him in her lap and open the door and deliver the baby inside the room, right? So that mama in our case is carrier. Got it? So the cell penetrating peptide does what? This is the cell penetrating peptide. This is siRNA. It holds the siRNA and it protects the siRNA. Protects the siRNA from all these things. It protects the siRNA from all these things. Okay? And it delivers the siRNA inside the cell. So this is mama. The mama is what? Carrier. Who is holding the baby and protecting the baby and it delivering the baby inside the cytoplasm where it will do its job, where it will break the messenger RNA.
Okay.
Got it? Mama cannot break the messenger RNA, but baby has a special skill to break the messenger RNA. You are understanding my point or no?
Yeah.
So you know what is the delivery system.
Right. Yeah.
So we have a cell penetrating peptide. And an interesting thing, you see now, the siRNA is negatively charged. Our peptides are positively charged. See? Our peptides are positively charged. So when I have the positively charged peptide and negatively charged siRNA, they will bind, right? And once they bind, now they becomes a complex. It becomes a complex, which can easily cross the cell membrane, which can easily cross this cell membrane and enters into the blood. And then the peptide protects the siRNA. It protects the siRNA from degradation by endonucleases, from sequestration by plasma proteins, from reticular endothelial system entrapment, and by elimination from the kidney. And it delivers the siRNA here. And once the siRNA in its intact form is here, it will do this job. And if it does this job, the gene is silenced. Okay? So now you understand when I started discussing the peptide. So what is the significance of the peptide? So I can show you here. This is the peptide, for example. This is the peptide. I showed you the peptide earlier, but I just want to show you the peptide here. What is this?
And oh, in amine.
Amine. What should it? What charge it should have?
Pause.
Positive. Positive charge, right?
Mhm.
So this is also positive charge. You see a lot of amines here.
Yeah.
So they're positively charged. So if they are positively charged, what will they do? They will bind with the siRNA.
Mhm.
They will bind with the siRNA through ionic interactions, right? And then they will deliver the siRNA into the cell, right? So the next time I will explain you how we are doing this and what are these experiments and how do we perform these experiments, right? So the going back to our paper that we started, and now it will become very super easy for you to read that paper, right? So that was scholar.google.com, tumor targeted. What did you learn, or is it difficult, or what?
It's it's simple to me. The
Okay,
concept.
okay. Tumor targeted delivery. And tumor targeted delivery. Meenakshi Sharma. Yes, right. So now, if you read this paper, you will understand it. There is just one thing which is called N2P. Okay,
Mhm.
N2P. What does it mean? You saw this. So you saw what is inside the what structure is present inside the DNA which makes it negatively charged,
Um, the phosphate.
phosphate, and what structure in peptide is which makes it positively charged,
The amine group.
amine. So amine has what? N,
Nitrogen.
nitrogen, and phosphate has what?
Phosphorus.
Phos- P, phosphate, right? A P, right? So when we do the experiments, we check how many nitrogens are in the peptide and how many phosphates are in the siRNA, and we make a ratio which is called N to P ratio. You got my point?
Mhm.
So this is the term which is N to P ratio, right? So it means 13.6. It means there are 13.6 times more nitrogen than the phosphates.
Okay.
Got it?
Uh-huh.
So, and if you now see this, I mean, I will encourage you to read this paper,
Mhm.
right? And I mean, just read it until this point, just this point, okay,
Okay.
for the materials and methods, okay, and
Mhm.
then let me know, did you understand anything or not?
Okay.
Okay, the first day when you came to me, it is our third session, right? So in the first session, you didn't know, but now you know how to read a paper. Got my point? So
Mhm.
actually, I started from very beginning. So now you know peptide. Now we understand why are we using peptide. Now you know what is siRNA. Now you know what are the functions of the siRNA inside the cell and how does it do the silencing, right? And you know the transcription and translation, right? So so you know the target gene. In my case, there are very popular drugs. Any heart patient, most of the heart patients take that drug, which is called atorvastatin or Lipitor, right? You know it?
Yeah.
Okay,
See it a lot.
okay. You know it a lot.
Yeah, I see it a lot in the pharmacy
Oh,
with my
very good. You see it a lot in the pharmacy. Now it inhibits an enzyme which is called HMG-CoA reductase. HMG-CoA reductase. Okay. Now my question is, and that enzyme is present in the liver. Now my question is, what molecular Like what is it lipid or nucleic acid or protein or mineral or what? What is HMG co-reductase?
Protein.
A protein. So if it is a protein, can you tell me it should have a gene?
Yeah.
Obviously. So can you tell me it should have a messenger RNA?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could, Sarah, make an siRNA which is complementary to HMG messenger RNA of HMG co-reductase, and if I deliver it to the patient, what will happen?
We can.
That HMG co-reductase will be silenced. And if it is silenced, what will happen? We will not need Lipitor, right? So we don't need atorvastatin. Atorvastatin has a lot of other effects. For example, myalgias, right? The patients who are taking that Lipitor, they suffer from muscle pains, like their legs hurt, their muscles hurt, they feel tired. So this is the side effect. But in this case, there will be no side effect because you are just silencing the gene.
Mhm.
Got it? And there are I told you in my first session there are a lot of drugs, and recently there are three drugs that have been approved by SIRM. One is patisiran, other is fitusiran, and third one that which was recently approved. It is called lumasiran, right? And all are siRNA drugs or SIR. There are just three. But I am envisioning that the next decade will see a lot of siRNA based products, right? But you are the scientist who can do it. If you understand this basic biology, I mean, I have not taught you anything which you have not heard before. I just connected the dots. I I am pretty sure that you were familiar with transcription, you were familiar with translation, you were familiar with gene, you were familiar with peptide, you were familiar with uh, 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 nucleic acid, and you were familiar with that the membranes are impermeable to charges. You were familiar all those things, but I'm just connecting those things, and I'm taking you to the science which actually happens these days in our labs, right? So I hope it is okay. It's 11 now. So I wish you the best of luck. And I'm stopping this. And now I want you to re-watch this video, please, anytime, and understand it. And please ask me questions
Okay.
because your questions can give us Nobel Prize. Got it? So
Yeah.
please be creative, and see how we can address those challenges, right? And then I will walk you through the experiments that I do, and then once you can come into the lab, you will be doing those experiments with me. All right?
Mhm.
All righty. Have a very good day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah. Do you have
for
any question?
yeah, just for next week, can we meet at the same time? Uh,
Sorry?
for our next session,
Yeah,
we can meet at the same time.
obviously.
Okay.
But
Okay.
if you are available earlier, it is very good.
Okay. I I just have a class from 9 to 9:50 and then one from 11 to 11:50, so this is a good time block for me.
Yeah, I mean, you can have time. I mean, you are in my same time zone. We can have this session because at this time I am always a late riser.
Mhm.
So it becomes difficult for me to wake up early, because I am a late. I sleep around 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Oh,
So, so the best, my peak time of productivity is in the evening around 4 to 10. So if you are available in that time slot between 4 to 10, we can meet. And if I want more sessions, like maybe five, five more sessions or six more sessions to explain you all that stuff.
mhm.
And if you're available, that is wonderful.
Okay. Okay, I'll let you know. I have work on Friday, so
It's okay. Any day. I am available between 4 until 10, right?
okay.
Yeah. So in the evening.
Mhm.
So if you are available in any day, in any time slot, you can email me and we can have discussion.
Got it. Okay.
Because
Thank you.
right now this is going unidirectional. I mean, this discussion is unidirectional. I am speaking, you are listening, right?
Mhm.
And the next time I will be silent and you will be speaking.
Okay. Got it.
Got it? So, because I want you to understand this is the difference between a scientist and a pseudoscientist. Okay?
Mhm.
Pseudoscientist doesn't understand. A scientist understands. Okay? That makes whole difference, right? And uh, and then you will be better able to do the experiments. Sean is doing very good experiments,
Yeah.
right? He's
Yeah.
doing the serum stability experiment and gel retardation assay, and these are the like technical terms, FACS and confocal microscopy and cell-based assays, right? You cannot do those experiments. As a technician, you can do it, but as a scientist, you cannot do them unless you understand the science behind it, which I am explaining you,
Mm.
right? And I wish that you should take lead in it, and you should at least. Shun has like I think 3 papers with me. Kelly has 4 papers with me. Kelly was your class fellow.
Yeah,
I
she was
heard.
my roommate.
Yeah,
So
she was your roommate.
mhm.
So and she has her 4th paper coming out,
Oh,
so 3rd paper coming out. So I want you to join this team so that because so that you can have more publications uh, out of so what is your ultimate target, like you are going to become MD or dental school or pharmacy or what?
pharmacy, yeah.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
So you know Jamie was also my student.
Um,
Jamie,
I'm not sure. I would need a last name.
Jamie, I don't know, but she is now in the pharmacy school.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyways, so looking forward to the next meeting.
Okay.
Have a very good day. Bye bye.
Bye.